Hello, everyone. Welcome to Save News TV. I am your host, AZ Hubbard, again with another news story. Well, I'm sure plenty of you have heard that Joe Biden has pardoned his son. And many of you say, oh, that's such a marvelous thing because it is, any father would do that. But we have to remember that there are some stipulations to this pardon, and it is more than just the gun charges and taxes. This pardon says that for 10 years, well, really 11, from January 1st, 2014 until December 1st, 2024, whatever Hunter has done, he has been pardoned. Now, let's remember that there's the Ukraine thing that happened by coincidence 2014. So remember, as of January 1st, 2014, he's been pardoned. And also, there are allegations of S trafficking across state lines and also child S trafficking because of, on his laptop, he has some pornography, PDF files up there. And there are a lot of other things as far as embezzlement, not embezzlement, alleged. Now, all of this is allegedly, but based on the Hunter Biden's laptop, this information is coming from that and potential charges that could have been brought allegedly. Allegedly. But anyway, I thought I would put together a video just showing you how many times, Biden has said that he was not going to pardon Hunter, and how people really now believe he is a world class liar, just to say it blankly, and how the mainstream media covered up just like they always do, and lie and say and repeat the lie to convince us that he would never, but he would never. So anyway, and also I'm going to put at the end of this, first I'm showing you the clips of how many times this was repeated. And also I'm going to put a clip in of Scott Jennings, just really annihilating the narrative that the mainstream media puts out there. That's why we thank you all for coming to Save News TV, because if we put something out there and it's incorrect, we will retract and say it so. We're not shielding for anybody to the left or to the right. And we're only shielding for God. So all these other human beings, they are liars. They can lie just like all of us can, and they will repeat it. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into the fun stuff. Hear how many times it was denied.
Presidential promise to put the law before family.
I said I abide by the jury decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Letting the world know that he will not wipe away the decision of 12 of his son's peers.
Was asked directly, and he has said he wouldn't pardon his son if he gets convicted.
Let's wait and see what happens if he loses.
Yeah, but he said it.
He's going to get pardoned by his dad. There's no question about that.
The president has ruled out pardoning his son.
Major commitment from the president, accepting the outcome of the trial and also pledging not to pardon his son.
So the challenge for him is really to continue to live up to his values when it was really personal, and he did that today.
It seems like a pretty normal, straightforward answer, but it takes new weight when we see what Trump is saying about the outcome of his trial, what we're hearing from other Republicans who say they don't accept the jury's verdict here in New York.
The contrast is profound. To sit there and say, well, I'm not going to intervene in the legal process, and I wouldn't pardon my son. One side, Democrats and Joe Biden protecting the justice system. And on the other, Republicans and Trump protecting Trump.
Our current president of the United States has so much respect for the law that he has said he would not pardon his son. I mean, again, it's all about the contrast.
President Biden saying, I will respect whatever this jury decides versus Donald Trump after he was convicted on 34 counts, saying the entire system is rigged against him.
Their latest attack has been that Joe Biden has politicized and weaponized the DOJ, right? That was the whole argument around Donald Trump's conviction. And this week, of course, Hunter Biden was found guilty, and Joe Biden has very clearly said he would not pardon his son, he would not commute his sentence. How stark is this difference? I mean, how can Republicans keep making this argument now that Joe Biden has really put it out there? Where's Hunter? And he stood there in a courtroom, flanked by his family, and he's accepted his sentence.
He is not pardoning his son, which he could do. These are federal charges. Right. He is not doing that. He is not doing it because he is living what it means to have a rule of law in this country. Yeah. And if you want to know if he believes it, you could actually see what is happening with his own son.
The president, Anderson, has been really clear that he is going to accept the outcome of the trial no matter what happens.
So Joe Biden's gotten asked about, talking about law and order. He's gotten asked if he would pardon his son. He has said no. On the other side, you've got Donald Trump, who has said that he will pardon the January 6th insurrectionists. Yeah. They're not even his sons. They're just sons of bitches.
Washington said, I am not running again, because he understood the self-restraint was absolutely essential to this country, so you don't have a king. He did not pardon his son. He did not order the Department of Justice to say, don't prosecute my son. So impressive.
Could have ordered the Justice Department to halt the prosecution of Hunter Biden, according to this court. Everyone understands he's a decent man.
I think Joe Biden has a chance here to stand up for the rule of law, to say the law is the law, no matter who it is, no matter if it's Trump or Biden. And remember, part of Trumpism's dangerousness is that it tears down institutions, important institutions of our democracy. So there is an opportunity here for Biden to say, the jury found him guilty. This is how it's supposed to work. Period, paragraph, end of story.
Have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
As I said last week, I will accept the outcome of this case and will continue to respect the judicial process as Hunter considers an appeal. The president said he won't touch it. He said he's not going to pardon his son. And it seems that Merrick Garland let it go through. How can the Justice Department be weaponized against Trump when all of that is happening?
But Democrats stand for the rule of law. Remember, law and order. And we've been saying that Trump's not above the law. Hunter Biden's not above the law. No one is above the law. And it is amazing to see the stark contrast between how Democrats handled today and how Republicans handled this whole thing over the last couple of weeks.
For years, these conservatives have been crowing about a politicized Justice Department, Biden politicizing it, and so on. What happened today? The Justice Department convicted the president's own son, his only living son. You heard the president say he would accept the outcome of the case. I know no other word for that, but presidential.
He even went so far as to say he wouldn't pardon his son. That's how much respect he has for the system.
The president has said that he will not pardon his son. What did you think of that?
I thought it was extraordinary. I mean, it was a moment of just moral clarity on the part of Joe Biden, and couldn't have been in starker contrast to the way Donald Trump has handled his own conviction.
He could still pardon him. He said he won't do that. All of that conduct, given that it's his son, is kind of, we should pause for a moment and think about how unbelievable that is. In a million years, if the shoe were on the other foot and Donald Trump was facing the prospect of his son being prosecuted by a Biden, if I had been held over, a Biden holdover or Obama holdover prosecutor, not in a million years would that have happened. So, some of the people on the right, the people who support Donald Trump, are trying to cast this as some clever ops program.
Yeah. Hunter Biden was found guilty by a jury of his peers, just like Donald Trump, because this is our justice system at work. The divide here is stunning, and it's a great reminder that one political party remains committed to the rule of law and the other doesn't.
Joe Biden has already proven he's willing to stand up for the rule of law in a way that we could all never imagine Donald Trump to do.
Pretty emphatic over the last few days that he does not plan to pardon or commute his son. What that really is him saying is, I don't plan to use the powers of the office, the powers of the presidency, to provide private relief for my family. In a sense, he's staking out a pretty bright line between being, as he says, a president and a dad. And that's not just an emotional expression. He's in effect saying, I don't think that I don't have a right, even if it's legal, and God knows it must be tempting, to use this power in a way that is not available to so many other Americans facing similar kinds of struggles. There's a kind of old school sort of flinty core to his conception of how you are to be in the system, how you are to be as a person, a moral person, and ultimately how to contend with questions of power. One of the things that anybody who spends time around Joe Biden comes to know is that he's had this long-running focus on how much he is bothered by abuses of power.
Will accept the verdict no matter what it is, and that he has ruled out pardoning his own son. Contrast that from what we hear from Donald Trump. And again, we have to underline, in no uncertain terms, President Biden saying, I will accept the outcome. I will accept what the jury decides here. That's the way our legal system works. And no, I will not pardon my own son if he is convicted.
And the contrast is so clear in terms of decency and principle and transactional guidance in terms of how you view the world.
It is still a good day for the United States that this conviction is a prime example of the way our judicial system is supposed to work. Even President Biden saying in a statement that he would respect the outcome of this case. Those words so completely contrast with what his opponent, now a convicted felon himself, continues to say about the U.S. courts.
The contrast to how Trump has behaved, how Trump has treated the rule of law. This was a good day for the system, good day for sort of America as an example of how the rule of law should work.
President Biden told David Muir that he would absolutely accept the verdict, whatever it was, and that he would not pardon his son, regardless. And today he said the same thing in a statement. Meanwhile, Donald Trump comes out and calls the justice system completely unfair. What do you think of that contrast?
There's the contrast of two different men.
Here is Joe Biden, who has lost a son who served honorably in the armed forces, who now has basically said, I will sacrifice my surviving son's future. I will allow him to serve a prison term if that's what's determined, because that is what the rule of law demands.
The president announces that he will not pardon his son. Do you think ordinary Americans give enough thought to how this system is a miracle, a gift to this country, a gift to democracy?
Now, here is Scott Jennings, a CNN commentator, really breaking down to them exactly what this means and how this looks for the Democratic Party. Okay, let's check this out. Ooh.
The blowback over the Hunter Biden pardon has been swift. Republican lawmakers quick to criticize President Biden over this. Some Democrats also speaking out about the bad precedent that they fear that this sets. The incoming chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Republican Chuck Grassley, weighing in with this, saying, I'm shocked that President Biden pardoned his son Hunter because he said many, many times he wouldn't, and I believed him. Shame on me. CNN's Lauren Fox tracking the reaction in Washington for us. And there's a lot that we've already heard and likely a lot more to come, Lauren.
Yeah, lawmakers expected back in Washington this evening. We can expect that a lot of Republicans are going to be lashing out after this news broke late last night. But there are a number of Republicans who are making the argument that Joe Biden had said one thing and then done another. Now, there were also Republicans in the House who had worked on that impeachment probe, someone like Representative Jim Jordan, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, who said if there was nothing to their probe, why is Hunter Biden being pardoned now. Obviously, these were different issues, but it's important to point out that the Republican backlash has been swift. Here's another Republican Senator, Ron Johnson, who said, just confirming that under Democratic governments, there truly is a dual system of justice, one that protects Democrats and another weaponized against their political opponent. But it's not just Republicans, Kate, that have criticized Biden. You are also hearing from a small number of Democrats, including Representative Greg Stanton from Arizona, saying, quote, I respect President Biden, but I think he got this one wrong. He also goes on to say this: if this wasn't politically motivated, pro-Hunter committed felonies and was convicted by a jury of his peers. Kate?
Lauren, thank you so much for that. John?
All right, with us now, CNN political commentator Karen Finney and CNN senior political commentator Scott Jennings. So, Karen, you just heard Democrat Greg Stanton, Democratic governor of Colorado Jared Polis. There are Democrats saying they're not happy that President Biden made this decision.
Yeah, well, tough. The president went ahead and did what he thought was right for him and to protect his son. And I think there are going to be Democrats who, from a political perspective, are going to feel like they may have to say something, but who probably on the inside understand why President Biden went ahead and did this. And I got to tell you, crowing from Republicans, and I know my dear friend Scott will have plenty to say about this, but we're talking about, Donald Trump is a convicted felon who literally had pardoned his daughter's father-in-law and just made him ambassador to France. So if we're going to talk about, who's using what system in what fashion, let's put it all on the table and let's be honest about the fact that Donald Trump doesn't really have a leg to stand on in this one.
So, Scott Jennings, what about that? Steve Bannon, Charles Kushner, Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, Michael Flynn, and Charles Kushner not just pardoned, but also apparently about to be nominated ambassador to France.
Joe Biden is leaving office making the strongest possible case for Donald Trump that anybody could possibly make it, and that's that our government and our justice system is of, by, and for the elites and nobody else. He ran to banish Trumpism from our political system in this country, and he has left it politically and now institutionally the strongest possible political force in this country. It is a complete and utter failure by the head of the Democratic Party and the President of the United States. Never again do I want to hear, oh, Donald Trump's a liar. You can't believe anything he says. Donald Trump will abuse his power. Donald Trump will only use the system to benefit himself and his family and so on and so forth. Never again. I have one question for Karen, and that is, why did he need an 11-year blanket pardon going back to 2014 when Joe Biden was the vice president? We are sitting on the biggest cover-up of who knows what crimes, and Joe Biden amazingly knows exactly, roughly, when it started. He knows just about when it all started. He's leaving office in complete and total disgrace. He is a liar, and there is no other way to spin this today. This has nothing to do with Trump and everything to do with the character of Joe Biden.
Let me give some context to what Scott is saying just there, Karen, before you address it. Because this pardon, I do not believe we have mentioned it, not just granting clemency for the crimes for which Hunter Biden was convicted of illegally purchasing a gun of tax evasion, but also a blanket pardon for any federal crimes that may have been committed basically between 2014 and 2024. So what about that literal get out of jail free card for a 10-year period, Karen?
Well, look, literally, the president recognizes that Republicans have been for years now trying to attack the president himself, go after his family. And when you have someone who literally ran their campaign on retribution, on the idea of I will be your retribution and getting back at his enemies, I would imagine, obviously I haven't spoken to the president about this, but I would imagine the president took a look at this and said, I want to make sure this is ironclad, that there is nothing that can be done to circumvent what I'm going to do to protect my son and to try to take the target off of his back once and for all. So that's my reading of it. But again, I think that the hypocrisy here it is astounding. I mean, Donald Trump has said and done things, said things that and done other things. And again, he's a convicted felon himself. He has used his power to benefit his friends, his wealthy allies. In this instance, we're talking about a man who decided to take care of his son after years of unrelenting attacks. I don't blame him.
Scott, did you have the same concerns over a justice system for the elite, as you put it before, when it was Donald Trump pardoning Steve Bannon, Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, Michael Flynn, Charlie Kushner? Same concern then?
Listen, you guys can spend all day long trying to spin this, that this is Donald Trump's fault, that this is somehow caused by Donald Trump. Oh, he's appointing the wrong people. Oh, he did it. Oh, this is the worst possible thing a president could possibly do to his party and to the country, to sit for a year and say, I will not do this. I will not do this. The rule of law is sacred. We have to respect the justice system. Juries, we have to respect juries. We have to respect the guardrails and the norms of our democracy. These people are liars. Inflation, it's transitory. Afghanistan, it's a success. The border is secure. Robert Hur is a liar. The videos are cheap fakes. Biden has a cold. He'll never drop out. Oh, I'll never pardon Hunter. It's all a lie. It is all a grift. Every American, except the most partisan, brain-rotted people, are going to be outraged by this today. He is going to leave off. You think 38, 39% job approval is bad? Just you wait. Just you wait. He's disgraced today. Outrageous.
You don't need to, but Scott, you don't need to hurl names and say people like me are brain rotted. Come on, that's a little beyond the pale, even for you, Scott.
Listen,
I disagree.
Stand
we can
up for
disagree
yourself.
about
You don't
this,
have
but
to
we don't
defend
have
this.
to call
He's
each other
leaving
names.
office. You don't have to defend it. You don't have to die on this hill. You can say this is wrong because
I'm
everybody
fine
knows
with
that it
it,
is.
Scott. That's why I'm
It's
defending
wrong.
it.
Are you
Karen?
fine with the lying? Are you
I say
fine
good
with
for
him
Joe
sitting
Biden.
before the election all year and lying to the American people? Are you fine with the lying about it?
I don't think that he was lying. I think he made a decision after the fact and decided this was the right thing for him and for his family. Period. Full stop.
John,
Donald
do
Trump
we not
decided
have
that
the
it
minutes?
was okay to pardon.
Joe Biden, Karine Jean-Pierre, how many minutes of tape do we have of both of these people telling the American people this will not happen? It's I mean, we could play it all morning. It's a lie, and it's a lie to benefit his own family, and that's
fine,
all
but
that it
let's
is.
just-
And everybody who
let's
went on
just
TV and said, oh, look how he's
calling
the
us
modern George
that.
Washington. He's drained every ounce of credibility from every surrogate. If Karine Jean-Pierre had an ounce of self-respect, she'd get off the plane in Africa today, where they're going, so he can avoid the press and resign. He's drained all of her credibility, and everybody else who's defended this, it's draining for them forever.
Well, and Karen, to be fair, Joe Biden, we did play that sound earlier, did flat out say on multiple occasions, and the press secretary did, that he would not pardon Hunter Biden.
He sure did. And I will tell you that he probably heard from a lot of people who said, you know what, sir, go ahead and do it. You should go ahead and protect your son, because who knows what Trump and Trump's Department of Justice will do when they say that their number one goal is retribution. How could you not take the opportunity to say, you know what, this is one thing that I can do for my child. This is one thing I can do to help get the target off of his back. Also, by the way, this is politics. And again, if we're going to, go down and compare list to list, it's not going to look very good for Donald Trump either. And I just don't have a problem with Joe Biden doing this at all.
All right.
Good for him.
Karen Finney.
And I know a lot of Democrats who agree with me.
Karen Finney, Scott Jennings, a discussion that I don't think is going away anytime soon. So I appreciate you both being part of it this morning.
Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for allowing me into your homes. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and comment below and tell me what you think of whether Biden should have pardoned Hunter, if there are repercussions to it. Do you think that there's favoritism or there's not. What would you have done? Either way, we thank you so much for allowing us into your homes. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to play another great video for you. We'll be back at soon. Bye.
I'm writing lines to lift his name, no need for fame. My spirit fed, his word is spread, saves the aim. Pen to paper, truths I scribe, a soulful vibe. To glorify the Most High, let's amplify. I am spreading the faith I hold so dear, for every tear he's ever near. Choirs rise on Sunday morn, his love we adore. Each melody a testimony, hearts reborn. In every